So, I mean, there's still that potential. Okay, so the Ozo is supposed to be the ban, apparently, perhaps. No, I think that's not actually locked in. That has to go back to Adagio. I can't imagine it wouldn't. So now, again, so we saw an Alpha. We could still see a trump card, but I'm just not convinced it's an Ozo, Jinyu.
Yeah, I don't think Ozo's the ideal first pick. Maybe potentially his last pick for Snow Tsunami there. And they're locked in on that petal, which I think...
They're thinking,
nope, okay.
It's going to be the man of the patch here, Rome. It's going to be Lance.
Yeah, you know, we were just looking at Nettoulette, and when they're building a composition for on the side of mousesports, they do favor grabbing up that Lance first, making sure Net does grab one of those favorite roamers that he's playing all weekend, and he's probably one of the best Lances that I've seen.
Right, yeah, both of our players to watch are actually on that roam roll, so whoever got Lance is probably going to be something for a good viewing situation. But Catherine, we've seen a few Catherines this weekend, Rome.
Yeah, I feel like Catherine here actually plays a huge role. I think that she plays counters into the Lance compositions really well. Just saving up that stun, knowing exactly when to use that CC when the opponent team is trying to dive down. You know, I do think like Snow Tsunami, they might lock up this soft pick for that last one.
Okay, so Jinyu, mousesports, they have themselves Celeste. That's the Sky and the Adagio out. We're sort of out of the go-tos for Crystal. Could this be a glaive to go with it, or is it going to be something more like a Rona?
Well, it's going to be a glaive.
Awesome. And last pick, Jinyu?
I think they need someone that can dive, so I'm thinking of Black Feather right now because they do need to get onto that Celeste, because right now they have a lot of poke there. So
okay. It's going to be a pedal. It's not a saw, it's not that dive, but with some kind of mix in between. As we go into the fold for game number 1 of this semifinals, it will be the Tasty Bacon and the Humanist to get us rolling.
All right, thank you very much, Forecourt. I'm Tasty Bacon. Alongside me is the one and only Humanist, and we are here for semifinal number 2, Snow Tsunami taking on mousesports, and a pedal as the last pick to try and deal with this Lance. You know, Lance has been looking so strong this weekend thus far.
Definitely has. I think this is going to be a very fun game. Of course, these guys are going to be bringing their A game on top of that. Fun picks. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like the teams are ready to go as the battle has begun, and we are on to the fold to kick things off. Who is going to be taking on Team Secret in the championships? Will mousesports rise up to power, or will we get a rematch of the Winter Championships with Snow Tsunami? That's what we're here to find out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it could go either way. A very fun draft, and I'm mostly curious to see how this initial engage happens. You know, do they, when they go for that first shop rotation, do they actually fight, or do they back off?
Well, we should be able to find out in just a few seconds here as both teams getting closer and closer to jungle. It looks like Snow Tsunami, they want nothing to do with that initial engagement, as it will be Sosiska and look at me moving up into the lane to try and find an early kill. However, it was over on the side of mousesports, they were rotating down to look for that early kill, so nothing really going to be happening.
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, Mr. K. Cool on that glaive, he can go ahead and afterburn, find that easy target. With Lance there as well, a lot of control early on. So smart move out of Snow Tsunami to kind of dodge out of that. And maybe they found something up in the lane, but it was just not there.
Yeah, and that's been one of the biggest combos that we've seen thus far in the Spring Championships is this Lance with a glaive. The amount of crowd control that comes out of those two heroes is immense. We'll see if this pedal can you know, dance around that, use that trampoline to avoid some of that CC, and of course then you're gonna have Sosiska trying to get in on those back lines.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, one of the biggest things is, will they be locking that pedal down? Will she be able to hang around the edge of the fight and kite backwards? That's really a key to victory for that pedal.
Yeah, because if you get hit by that root from Lance, you cannot use the trampoline to get away. So it will become so important to see if Nettoulette can get those roots down onto the carries of Snow Tsunami. As Rome was saying, one of the best Lances we've seen this weekend. So that's high praise coming from Rome, and we'll have to see if he can live up to that. Then, you know, that could be the opening that and the way to victory that mousesports needs.
Yeah, it definitely could be. You know, both teams just kind of poking here. There's going to be an Impale landing on Sosiska. But both teams, you know, happy to just kind of be passive here.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the strategy. Both teams sending their roamer into the lane and just letting their junglers farm up freely, as they're both pretty happy with this. But right now, it's a good damage going down onto Sosiska, having to back off a bit and drink some potions.
Yeah, and as I'm kind of like looking at these compositions, I do feel like Snow Tsunami will hit a bigger power spike once they get their level 6s. Compared, you know, you look at Lance, the combat role, yeah, it does add utility, but it's not that big of a spike. Same thing, you know, Glaive, it's great when you get your ultimate, but across the board, you're going to have spontaneous combustion coming out of Petal. You know, No Life with the snipes across them. These are the plays.
Yeah, that's definitely a much larger power spike at level 6 for Snow Tsunami. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that, as you know they're getting close in level 4, level 3s across the board, but no real fights have even broken out. So it's questionable if they're even going to look for it when they do hit level 6. Again, this passive style seems to be what both teams are perfectly content with using.
Yeah, and you know, Mouse, they have a nice couple scout traps around the middle portion of this jungle, going to control that vision. And knowledge is everything here, because I think you're only going to die early on here if you get surprised.
Absolutely, and you can see they're just clearing out that vision. And one of the things that this playstyle can lead to is not knowing what your opponent is building. For the Look At Me and Mr. K Cool, if they both stay in the jungle, which obviously now that's not the case anymore, but if they had both just kind of stayed in the jungle and avoided those scout traps, the enemy team wouldn't have known what they were building. Just, well, obviously you can assume, but you wouldn't necessarily know how strong they were when those team fights were going to start happening.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point right there. And you never know. I mean, sometimes these guys even play a bit of mind games. If they think they can, you know, not get into that skirmish, they may even hold off on buying that item.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see those play out. A lot of times they will, like you mentioned, just hold off on buying them, sit there with just a ton of gold in their pocket, so the enemy thinks, oh, we can get engaged, and then they go and buy it and then look for the fight. As that's our first little skirmish happening up here in the lane, but not, again, no real hard engage coming out.
Yeah, I mean, both teams farming pretty well here. 51 last hits there for Great Kali across the board, 49 for No Life. So, you know, they are keeping up here, and I'm sure the items are just going to come out very soon.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much a given. We are getting close to that 6-7 minute mark, which is when a lot of the tier 3s first start coming out. You get some of the cheaper ones around 4 to 5 minutes. A lot of times that fountain timer is in the 6 to 7 minute range. So we'll have to see as a couple more jungle shop trips being made. But again, just happily farming away.
Yeah, they are. I feel like, well, here's your engage.
Oh, there goes the Merciless Pursuit, getting a stun on the Great Kali, but there's no real follow-up. And instead, it's just going to be Net2let knocking everyone away and resetting the fight.
Yeah, my thought was right before that, I feel like Snow Tsunami engaging on, if you're going to gank this lane, it's going to be a little bit easier for them. The Merciless Pursuit right onto a Celeste, you know, if she sees you coming, she's going to boot away, probably get away. There's the attempt. There's
another one coming in, but this is with all 3 members. There goes the spontaneous combustion, and that is the first kill going over to Snow Tsunami.
It's pretty much what I was kind of feeling right there. And the flip side of that is, if Glaive's going to come up to lane, it's much harder for him to kill this Kestrel.
Yeah, but not only that, but again, that level 6 power spike you were talking about, as soon as that ult was available, they go in.
Yeah, you see right here, Look At Me, he gets his level 6. They know that they can follow up spontaneous combustion right on point.
Yeah, they're just picking up that first kill nice and easy. They don't really get a whole lot off of it. Just kind of trying to deny the lane from Great Kali for a little bit. Early in the game, it's not going to be lasting that long. I think death timers are still only at like 10 to 15 seconds. So he's right back in the lane, didn't miss a whole lot. But now we could have the potential for more fights coming out, as that's going to be the missed lunge from Net2let. That means he's going to take just a little bit of poke in return, as that's going to be something he needs to make sure he connects with every time, because missing it can be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, right there they had the numbers advantage. Like you said, you really leave yourself vulnerable after that impale. If it's not going to land, you know, they can follow up on that. But right there, he gets away with it.
Yeah, and gets away with it again this time as well. It's not, once we get later on, everyone's grouped up more and there's more damage coming out, it's going to be significantly more costly. However, Snow Tsunami sticking together as a unit as they make their way down to the shop. Should be some good items coming out now. What's it called? It was No Life already had the Sorrow Blade previously, but now just starting to build up some defenses.
Yeah, these guys just starting to build into that next set of items. Great Kali across the board has that Broken Myth completed. So, I mean, if he's able to get some stacks up, really, they're at a good point to take a fight here.
And it's going to be scary for Tsunami if they get engaged on. But right now, it's mousesports looking to take the gold miner, and the Kestrel steals it with the one-shot, one-kill. What a great snipe coming out of No Life.
Yeah, no, that was a great snipe right there. A wonderful ability to be able to use to secure that. And the thing is, like, when you have that predictable damage going down, it was really easy for him to know exactly when to throw that out.
Yeah, look at the replay here. You can see, oh, just kind of missed it a little bit. Oh, we rewind.
Yeah, we got the rewind right there. But you can see the damage input is very consistent. He knows exactly when to throw that out and steal it. And no one's going to engage off the backside of that.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to point out too was it was also Look At Me and Sosiska helping to make that happen. A lot of times if a team is working on a gold mine against the Kestrel, they'll get in position to try and block that one-shot, one-kill. They couldn't do that on the side of mousesports because Look At Me and Sosiska were right there to pressure them if they had tried to go that distance over.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good point right there. And it looked like, I mean, Mouse originally getting into that seemed a little cautious, and so that they're not going to commit to try even do that body blocking.
Yeah, how about this first completed item out of Look At Me on this pedal?
Well, to get the Shatterglass right off the bat, it's, I mean, we've seen mostly alternating current as of, recent, but I think he'll be able to get a lot of work done with it. We already saw Spontaneous Combustion is really what they're fighting around here. So
yeah, Spontaneous Combustion and just the flat Munyon damage also being augmented. One shot, one kill, just coming out as a little bit of harassment on the chase. It does connect again though, so at least 100% hit accuracy with one shot, one kill for No Life. It is going to be that weapon power Kestrel, so one shot, one kill, not going to be quite as powerful as it could potentially be, but the difference between those two builds is just the fact that you can pepper in your basic attacks during the fights and be a lot more effective, whereas Crystal Kestrel is only the abilities.
Right, yeah, I mean, with the Crystal, you're pretty much going for those snipes. Looks like maybe you're going to have an engage here. It's all about can they catch Great Kali.
And look at the damage coming out from that Shatterglass, taking Nettoilette down very low. Again, the Munyon damage is so strong if you just have flat Crystal, whereas the Alternating Current, it helps the basic attacks coming out of Petal herself, but doesn't augment the Munyons at all. So they are able to push them off the turret, and this is going to be the first turret taken down by Tsunami at 10 minutes into this game.
Yeah, no, they're doing a great job right now. I think a lot of the credit comes down to Sosiska's positioning. He's just frontlining for his team. With the Munyons there, they're having such a hard time even attempting to get onto the backline. Mr. K-Cool could try to do that, but then he's kind of on an island there, and they really need to stay as a group.
Yeah, and Nettoilette we just saw was just getting melted. Even with the Fountain of Renewal completed, it's still the Crystal damage coming out of Look At Me is massive, and he doesn't even have any Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
going to
continue to get worse and worse at this point. So, I mean, a small net worth lead starting to build up for Snow Tsunami. It's not a devastating lead at this point, but if they can continue this accumulation over time and just stick with it, it is going to be devastating down the road.
Yeah, the gold lead just slowly trickling up. Only one kill in 11 minutes. One of the slower paced games in terms of the actual team fighting, but Snow Tsunami are still getting their gold in and still earning a lead that they have accrued now up at about, I believe, 3,000. So doing a great job of just out farming and out rotating to take these objectives.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I noticed. They're constantly just three amigos moving through the jungle, rotating up to lane. If they are splitting apart, they're making sure that someone is under that turret and safe.
Absolutely. So with this movement coming in, there's going to be the one shot, one kill. I believe that did connect onto Mr. K-Cool.
Yeah,
so keeping 100% accuracy rate,
padding his stats there.
Yeah, making everyone else that plays Kestrel in casual games feel horrible about themselves. Thanks a lot there, No Life. But it's again just not really any fighting coming out, and well, I feel like mousesports at some point they're going to have to do it.
You know, you get into like these semifinal stages of tournaments. A lot of times teams are going to pull off the gas just a little bit and play a bit safer. So I'm not too surprised to see this happening here in the semifinals. But once the action really kicks off, I imagine it's going to just blow wide open.
Yeah, and as long as everyone can keep themselves safe, look at me coming very close to being caught out of position there, but he didn't get engaged on. mousesports obviously knowing that the rest of Snow is likely right around the corner because, as you mentioned, they've been sticking together so long. Another one-shot, one-kill connects, and this could be a potential fight starting up. A lot of damage going down to Mr. K-Cool. The spontaneous combustion is used very early, so that healing's not going to be there. And look at me, he is just deleted. The rest of Snow are trying to answer though. Look how low. Great Kali and Netflix, they're trying to run away. The Heliogenesis come down and get the kill onto No Life, and it's just the Catherine left, but she cleans house.
My goodness, right there. You know, Catherine, last hero standing at the end of that fight, and a lot of times that's what you actually see when you have a Catherine out there, but huge damage coming out of both teams. You see the engage happening early on here. Big spontaneous combustion damage coming out, but if they don't finish someone off, then it's the route on to Look At Me. Once you're onto that pedal, pretty easy to kill. Then they follow up onto K-Cole right here. No Life trying to kite backwards, but you see Sasiska, positioning is everything. Githian wall buying a little bit of time there. Helio's gonna come out, eventually cleaning up No Life, but Sasiska right there. That just ridiculous. And,
I mean, that was
too easy.
I mean, yeah, Sasiska got the 2 kills, but Great Kali getting the assist on both of them because it was that Heliogenesis coming down and hitting that shield, the reflect damage, doing enough to pick up both kills. So a little unfortunate there for the side of mousesports, but that's one of the things you have to be wary of when you're up against
Exactly.
Catherine.
That's one of the toughest situations to be in. You feel like I can either do nothing or I can attempt to do something. At the end of the day, he kills himself and his teammate.
Yeah, you have to wait out that shield, but it's one of the hardest things to do because everything like that you've ever done is based on seeing, okay, low health, drop a Heliogenesis on their head and get the kill. But Catherine is the only one that stops that. So a great job there from Snow, and again, a little unfortunate for Great Kali and mousesports, but it did lead to more gold going into the pocket. This lead has now jumped up to almost 5,000 gold in favor of Snow Tsunami.
Yeah, they are starting to roll right now, and we see Aftershock completed. Atlas Pauldron was picked up before, so right now Sasiska is actually a monster.
And they're going to be looking to use those stats to get in onto Mr. K-Cool. He has to use the Afterburn to escape. Taken down about half health just off of that little bit of poking, really. It wasn't even a hard engage onto him or anything like that. And Snow Tsunami, they're looking to just take control of the entire map.
Yeah, at this point they can. As long as I would be surprised, you know, if they don't move through and get some scout traps down through all of these bushes through the jungle. 15 minutes into the game, Kraken is now out on the map. I don't think that they're going to go for, you know, an aggressive Kraken play here. But as soon as they get 2 heroes down for their opponents, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be what they're looking for. They've been trying to set up these fights, and there's going to be the jump in. Stun lands onto Nettoilette, not necessarily the target you want, and they immediately just start backing off.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to lure mousesports into a trap as those Munions, the seeds getting taken out. There's one shot, one kill. Going to get a little bit of damage down. They find Great Kali with the stun, but they are not able to get the kill. Now they're trying to reposition themselves in this fight. Netfla is on the front lines, but he's getting dropped pretty low. Sasiska is in deep, but not taking much damage at all. Mr. K-Cool is the one getting targeted. There goes Spontaneous Combustion. That'll take him out. Now Sasiska is finally starting to get dropped low, but the shield comes out again and gets a kill, and the rest of Snow come in and clean up for the ace.
Yeah, I mean, this fight right here, it's all positioning right here. Rome talks about it all of the time. When you have heroes like Petal, you have Kestrel, they have to stay around the backside of the fight. We see right here towards the tail end of the fight, Great Kali was trying to kite backwards. You have the exact opposite mentality coming out of Mr. K-Cool. He wants to jump to the other side of the fight where the damage dealers are. He got blown up earlier, and that just seals the fight right there.
And that was another kill getting picked up by the shield reflect damage on to Great Kali. The Catherine is just doing so well against the Celeste.
Yeah, it's a great counter right here, and you know, we haven't seen a lot of Catherine. People have gone away from her, but I think there's so much utility in her kit, and even, you know, a big blast trimmer coming out in these kind of predictable AoE type of fights can just be devastating.
Yeah, I think the Catherine is really strong into this Celeste, largely because of that AoE. You know, the Heliogenesis are being dropped. You can't really control. If you're trying to hit the enemy carry, you're going to be hitting the roamer as well if she's staying on top of her carry. So you can't control and say, okay, I'm just not going to do damage to the Catherine. It just doesn't work like that.
This is just such a hard position to be in. I feel like Warhorn would have been a great tool for Mouse. They need to stick together, but there's no way to get into the back lines, you know, without leaving Great Khali alone.
Yeah, with Kraken coming in onto the base. Look at the damage coming out of this Kestrel. The first turret is down. There hasn't even been a fight started. Helium Jet's being put down. Look at me get taken out extremely low as he dives in, and he's going to get popped. And that's going to be the fight starting up and going very well for mousesports. But can they continue? It's just Great Khali working on the Kraken while Snowlife and Sosiska are trying to take down the structures. The crystal is being damaged, and I don't think that mousesports have it in them to stop this. One more glimmer shot takes down the Vein Crystal, and Snow Tsunami pick up game number 1 in, it wasn't an aggressive, it wasn't in your face, but it was extremely effective, and they looked like they were in control. You know, first 5 minutes looked extremely even,
right.
But after that, Snow Tsunami were just in control the entire way.
I mean, personally, it wasn't extremely obvious to me how these compositions were going to play out right in the beginning. Once the fights started to come out, it feels like Snow had the better composition overall. It was so much easier for them to execute, and you know, anything that stands out to you here, Bacon, go ahead and call out. But it's pretty standard across the board. There was even that really good Crucible at the end to block that.
And capitalize off of that. I do feel like a reflex block coming out very early would have helped them, you know, control the pace of that team fight.
All right, so I don't think that there's going to be a Catherine ban in this one, but I've been told the draft is ready to go, so let's see what we're going to get for game number 2. Jinyi, last time we had a Sky ban, we had the Adagio, and you know, from there it was just really, it's kind of down to Celeste. Those are the top 3 crystals. Celeste is the first ban.
I think that's quite interesting because, you know, mousesports, they tried the Celeste, it didn't really work for them, but I think that what they're trying to do is just narrow down the hero pool that they can pick from mousesports here.
All right, cool. So if this is going to be an Adagio ban, will this be a first pick Sky for Snow Tsunami Rum?
I'm just going to wait to see if this locks in or not, because I do feel like this isn't probably the best way to go in terms of getting that Adagio out of the way.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, you don't see too many buff compositions coming out of the side of Snow Tsunami. They do like to wait for their opponents to really pick something up before they find a counter, and that's how they play.
Yeah, okay, so those are the top 3 crystals. Now, what we have been seeing for some adaptation here is double weapon. Looks like it could be a Lance. Now, something that mousesports has shown us this weekend is the Celeste Rona Lance combo. That worked out well, but with no Celeste there, I'm kind of curious what the adaptation will be, and they're thinking pretty hard on this Lance, Jinyi.
I'm not sure they should go for the Lance, and I'm more happy with that Arden pick that they're going for.
Okay. What do you think they'll power with it? Glaive comes to mind, Black Feather, both can be played with Mr. Keiko.
I'm thinking Black Feather.
Okay, yeah, I think that that definitely is something, at least in my eyes, Mr. Keiko on a Black Feather goes a long way for kind of evening out those odds, but is this the time to do it, Rome, or do you leave that for last?
Well, you're looking at here, Snow Tsunami, they do pick up that Sky. You have to counter the Sky, and you have to have a very strong early game in your jungle, due to the fact that, you know, mousesports, they will have to find that balance. They most likely opt out for somebody very tanky up in that lane that does need a little bit of time to scale up. So that jungle has to make sure that the first 2 minutes to the first 10-minute mark, that they can really mitigate things on their end.
This is interesting. If we are going to have that Taka, and whoever he goes with here, Glaive or Black Feather, is still kind of a bet, and perhaps even a Ringo. But either way, we have seen Taka this weekend. It's been a tension bow. We've seen Crystal on top of that as well. Could go either way for mousesports, but that is a very defensive situation, I feel, from Tsunami. Like you've been saying, they wait for their opponents to jump them, and I think they got themselves a great defense.
The Surge Strike coming out of Sky actually is going to be like one of the biggest things within the team fight this game. If it's timed wrong, they will lose the team fight.
All right, well, we'll have to see if the Kestrel can bring it. So we're going into it once more. Snow Tsunami on match point, and it'll be Bacon and Humanus once more.
Thank you very much, Forecourt. mousesports, they need to get this win here. They're going to try and sneak their way to victory with the double invisibility composition of Kestrel and Taka. We'll see. It allows for a lot of scouting, but it could dictate what Snow has to build. You know, maybe they have to get a contraption this time.
Potentially, and we don't see a lot of contraption these days. But, you know, you get into a composition like this, it would make a lot of sense. So we'll see how Sosiska does choose to itemize. And, you know, what do we like better than a pause right off the bat, Bacon? We can continue to analyze this a little bit more here. But when I look at this, what Team Snow have drafted, they really control an area.
Yeah, and that is something that could be a problem for the composition that mousesports has, because of the fact that, you know, that invisibility, if you just say, okay, we're just going to blow up this entire area where you just went invisible,
right,
it doesn't matter if they can see you or not. They have so much AoE in that zone that it can just be absolutely devastating. So vision's going to be incredibly important. Positioning is going to be infinitesimally important,
right?
Even more so than
it's
usual
mind games too. That's where you get into that kind of like reverse psychology mode where, okay, well, I can jump into the fray over here, lay a little AoE down. I could throw out a forward barrage where I predict you're going, but you know, does Taka predict that as well and go the opposite direction? You know, so I think this is going to be very fun as we start to get into the situation, but. Honestly, last night, Taka destroyed me in my last game and just ended my night.
Yeah, well, Taka, it really seems to be one of those hit-or-miss heroes. Either can just dominate a game and completely control the jungle from the word go, or it could be, you know, just fall flat on his face and just kind of you almost wish he just stayed in his box the entire match. But we'll have to see what sort of Taka Mr. K-Cool brings out. Obviously, all these professional players, they bring out the best in these heroes. But with the Rona on the other side and the Lance, it could be trouble.
Yeah, it definitely could. And I've heard a couple times Mr. K-Cool talking about how he feels like he's been a little more passive this tournament. You know, not that kind of aggressive hero playstyle that he's been known for in the past. So I don't think when you pick a Taka that he's going to be pulling back on the reins at all.
Yeah, no, you really can't. Taka is so strong early game. You need to use it to snowball yourself into that mid, because the mid game is where he really kind of falls off, and then he can start being a little bit stronger in the late game again. But you need to get through that mid game, and that's going to be trouble if you lose your roamer early on. They are chasing this down. The forward barrage doesn't quite connect, but the damage is still there, and that will be the first kill going over Snow. And look at me jumping right back in once more. They do back off, but early kill picked up by Snow. They can now try and get this jungle control.
Yeah, that was perfectly done. You see the Impale with the nice engage there. Look at me, he had his level 2, so it was a foe splitter into the fray combo right there, and just pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah, so now back up in the lane. No life, you know, not getting any assist, or getting the kill. Sorry, of course he didn't get the assist because he got the kill. But it's going to be a little bit extra as he comes into the lane with that second crystal bit. So really going for that early damage on Sky. It's a pretty standard initial pickup.
Yeah, it is, and you're going to itemize based off who you're playing in the lane. You know, how is your opponent's play style, as specifically as a player, or just whatever the pick is. Right here, I do think it makes a lot of sense. He's going to want to stay at range and continue to just poke.
And you can already see the Vision Wars starting up. A lot of scout traps and a lot of flares being purchased early on. It's all about being able to see where those invisible members are, and obviously for mousesports, they need to constantly be taking out those scout traps so that that information is not being given over. It's something we saw a lot in one of our matches yesterday too.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, vision is so important in all of these matches, but controlling the middle part of this map is going to be huge in this game.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of damage going down onto Sasiska on this Lance. It's just going to be a little bit of trading. Obviously, great Kali on this Kestrel. Going to be phenomenal at these trades, just throwing out those glimmer shots with triple weapon blade start for him. So both laners just prioritizing a ton of damage. There is a little bit of defense picked up, though, by No Life.
Yeah, smart play by No Life to pick that up. If he does get into a situation where he trades at all, that he will probably win that engage.
And the other thing that those triple weapon blades means is double weapon power composition from the side of mousesports with this Taka and Kestrel. So it's going to be a lot of focusing on penetrating the armor that is inevitably going to be built by Snow, but Snow is going on the aggressive once more. Kestrel is just taken out in an instant, and that's going to mean a 3-on-1 where the Arden just doesn't stand a chance.
And it's something I talked about last game. Your Kestrel is pretty elusive as far as heroes go, but if she's engaged onto, it's very easy to pick up that kill.
Yeah, you can't use that active camo if you have been taking damage. So if you can get the jump on Kestrel, get that damage down before she can go invisible, then, like you said, a pretty easy kill to pick up. But that's going to be the key for Tsunami, is if they can get in on the Kestrel. The Taka is a little bit different story because he can obviously pop the Kaku whenever he feels like, as long as it's off cooldown and he's not stunned. But it's if they can get the engagement onto Great Kali on this Kestrel, which they did a great job of doing in game number 1 of just jumping onto Mr. K-Cool's glaive, then it could be a rough go of it here for mousesports as they get a root onto Kali, but no follow-up.
Yeah, and we saw, you know, just 30 seconds ago or so, Mr. K-Cool did dip into that bush without knowledge of whether or not there was a scout trap there. We saw Dark Potato get into a similar situation yesterday. Well, hopefully Mr. K-Cool can correct that moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Look at me. Going to be trying to, again, take control of this jungle, looking for an invasion, but he's going to be running into Mr. K-Cool there, who's going to get these minions. It looks like, look at me, just trying to push him away. He does steal that second minion. However, is he going to stick around? Looks like they are just kind of regrouping, ready for a collapse, but Snow Tsunami, they're getting gold. They're taking gold away from mousesports right now.
Yeah, they definitely are, and that's the key to victory in this game right here. You need to take, you know, deny away from your opponents and waste their time. Right now, Snow Tsunami are winning in both areas.
Yeah, 3 kills and 1,000 gold in the lead for Snow Tsunami. Minion mines are very likely both going to be captured here shortly. You saw mousesports picked theirs up, and looks like down in the jungle, look at me, is going to be going for his, actually has his. So, yep, that is... Again, keeping things even in the lane, extremely important to make sure that you have at least one of those 2 minion mines from the get-go.
It definitely is. And Bacon, as I'm looking at, you know, how do mousesports engage this? I feel Gauntlet's going to be a huge tool for them, and it's all about, does No Life get caught within that, and does he have a reflex block or not?
Yeah, obviously reflex blocks, you can kind of expect them to come out pretty early. For both the Gauntlet and for those active camo fields, obviously it's much more difficult to reflex block the active camo field stun, but if you saw where the Kestrel went invisible, then you know when you walk through that area, just pop your reflex block just to be safe. So we'll have to see how Snow play it, because they have the lead right now, but they need to keep the pressure on pretty much all game to keep the lead.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I do feel even though Snow Tsunami have the advantage early on here, they're going to scale better. Mousesports, you know, with this Taka, we'll be able to accomplish a lot as you go on, but it's just this AoE composition that they have. Look at me with the red mist. He's going to be able to spin wherever he needs to control the fight, and that's where No Life will be able to waltz around.
And the other thing is, if Great Kali doesn't start building defense soon, then towards the mid to late game, he's just going to be melting as Nettoilette coming so close to dropping just from No Life on the sky. The damage, again, being focused on even, I mean, No Life has a tier 2 armor, but still just has so much damage built up because it's a sky and that crystal sky. The damage is just so impressive.
It's truly incredible damage that comes out. One of the things when you're playing Sky, you almost have to guess exactly what direction your opponent's going to take. One shot, one kill, going to come out there a little bit early, unfortunately. But yeah, when you're playing the Sky, you're going to throw that forward barrage out. Net did a good job of kind of dancing around back and forth, weaving, dipping, diving, dodging that out. But it's all about predicting that. If No Life gets that initial barrage going down, he's going to take out almost anyone.
Yep, and another thing on that gold mine was, look at me actually blocking the one-shot, one-kill, something that mousesports were unable to do in game number 1. So ensuring that they get that gold miner, they increase this gold lead even further, and now they may have themselves a fight, but the Githian wall only stuns up Nettoilette. Great Kali able to continue outputting damage during that.
Yeah, and all the while, we do have continuous buildup of items. It looks like we're going to have a Bonesaw coming out on Great Kali, maybe as his next item here, which, you know, it will enhance the damage output if Mr. K-Cool and Great Kali are really able to combine and focus a target.
And now they're going to be finding Nettoilette once again. Look at that forward barrage doing so much work. Nettoilette has to Vanguard to his ally just to try and get out to safety. And there's not going to be a follow-up from Snow Tsunami. They don't want to go diving under the turret, knowing that even though they have the lead, a mistake like that could cost them the game. So they play it safe and just continue to slowly grit this out. But that's going to be a nice route underneath the turret. Death from above comes out. It doesn't hit anyone, but they are going to continue continue going deep for it. The forward barrage is ticking, and that's going to be the kill picked up by Lance, and that's going to be a route to secure the third kill. An ace for Snow Tsunami.
No Levy here to protect Mouse from Snow Tsunami as they just roll right through. Absolutely devastating combination. And how did it all start, Bacon? You see the engage onto Great Khali on that Kestrel. When he said it time and time again, you need to have positioning. If you get caught like that, it's just over. Right here, you're going to see the fight start off. A nice impale, huge damage coming out, and it's just, it spells right there, no life. Forward barrage, the death from above causes them to split, and it's an easy dive for these guys.
Yeah, you can see as Sosiska finishing off both of those kills, getting the Githian wall with the combat roll, and then using that impale to finish things off. Great fight for Snow Tsunami, and like you said, if they can catch Kestrel, they can win the fights. It's pretty simple victory conditions for Snow Tsunami.
And you see right there, Mr. Keiko, he can get in, he tries to get a bit of damage, but even then, it's just a red mist, and he immediately has to exit out of the fight.
And a death from above being used just to farm, and that's going to be a Githian wall stunning Netwillet. Netwillet's taking a lot of damage off of that. I don't think they're not going to look for the fight, but what this does, it's something that Snow Tsunami has been doing consistently through both of these games, getting a lot of damage down onto one member just so that they can have that fight coming
Another
up
body block
for
there.
the next. They can have that damage already done. Yeah, a body block by Sosiska, ensuring again that the gold mine does not get stolen. 190 gold per player, just going to increase this gold lead even further.
And with this gold, what have they chosen to build? So he had his fountain up pretty early, Sosiska, then just caught, eaten alive. Avert your eyes. Netwillet is just dead.
Yeah, that was absolutely dirty. This Lance is doing so much work in the hands of Sosiska, and Snow Tsunami, they look to just be in full control of this one.
Complete control, pole position here. Atlas Pauldron completed as well for Sosiska. It's going to be great utility in these fights. Let's see if they engage.
Yeah, they're just working on this turret. They don't even care about the damage coming out of mousesports. Look at that. They were just underneath that turret, not even looking to fight, and they barely took any damage. They are so far ahead, and they prioritized early defense. All three members having at least a tier 2 armor to deal with Great Khali's Kestrel.
Yeah, and if No Life eats some damage, he's got that Eve to heal himself right back up. Look at Me has the Serpent Mask to do the same thing, and Sosiska hasn't even really had to pop that fountain yet.
Yeah, it's just not looking too good for mousesports. They're going to need to reach very deep into their pockets to pull something out to try and turn this game around, or hope that Snow Tsunami makes a mistake. But we've seen throughout this tournament, Snow Tsunami is not a team that will just give you a mistake.
No, they won't. And honestly, as I'm trying to figure out how do mousesports engage us, how are they going to take a fight and win it? I feel like they're going to have to strike like lightning, just all onto one target. Communication is going to have to be key. Gauntlet and everybody follow. You really can't hold back and hesitate at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be tough as there's a... but especially because look at all this vision. There's so many scout traps on the map for Snow Tsunami. You know, they have a chance to maybe get onto Look at Me here, but the rest of the team immediately rotating down, so that just disappears. Look at Me is going to jump in with that into the fray, and look at the damage from Red Mist. The mousesports are just melting. The gauntlet has to be used defensively, but Look at Me is already in. He does get stunned up by that active camo field, but it's just going to keep chasing. And Snow Tsunami looking to collapse onto this. Maybe that's going to be a sacrificial lamb play here from Netwillet, trying to allow Great Khali to escape. It will be successful as Netwillet does fall, but the ace is at least prevented.
Bacon, I'm borderline speechless at what Snow Tsunami are accomplishing here. They're just taking everything, leaving nothing.
They're going in underneath the turret without even having their minions, saying, you know what, we're strong enough that we're going to get this damage down. They don't quite get the turret. They do have to back off as the respawns are coming through, but that turret, once the minions get there, it's like 2, 3, maybe 4 hits away from falling. This is going to be a very quick turret kill as they push in this lane, and every advantage seems to be in the corner of Snow Tsunami. Mr. K-Cool trying to get that minion. He does secure the healing camp, so, you know, a little consolation prize, I guess, at this point, because they're still down 9-0.
9-0. I mean, kills aren't everything, and of course, net worth isn't in that devastating type of range, but it just feels like, what are they accomplishing across the map? Objectives are all going the way of Snow Tsunami. Every fight is going their way as well. And we can't count Mouse out. I just don't know. Great Kali with his Bone Saw, it's just not getting a lot of work done. Once he starts to get some crit, maybe, I mean, he isn't fused up right now. I mean, maybe that's where they look to go for that kind of lightning strike I was talking about.
Yeah, they're looking for that double Bone Saw comp, but it's just, again, like you said, the damage just isn't there for the side of mousesports. I mean, we saw earlier, they were diving underneath the turret, ignoring the members of mousesports, just tanking their damage up without a care in the world. And the damage is there on the side of Snow Tsunami and the defenses too. The metal jacket was completed by Look at Me and No Life. So it's just so, even with that armor shred, it's tough. There's so much
Tough
armor
situations.
there as they're working on this gold mine again. Our mousesports are going to try and steal this one. One shot, one kill comes in, but it doesn't get the steal. And the gold mine goes over. Now they're looking for this fight, getting damage onto Netwell, who's going to use that gauntlet over the wall. A flashy play to keep himself alive, but will it keep his teammates alive as Mr. K-Cool is going to get rooted, and now the fight is on. The Fountain of Renewal has to come out by mousesports. Look at No Life, keep an eye on him. The Taka jumping in, Mr. K-Cool trying to get that assassination, but it just doesn't work, and it's another kill, the 10th kill of the game for Snow Tsunami.
All right, so I like that Mouse are trying to make that kind of play. What I don't agree with is, you know, you're going to go ahead and use the ward to reposition.
Is Great Kali going to be in bad position?
He gets out of there.
Just gets out of that route, and that will allow him to stay alive. But the turret did go down, another 900 gold to Snow Tsunami.
It's tough, but I mean, it was Warhorn repositioned. The gauntlet was used defensively to back up. Imagine if they could have Warhorned into a nice gauntlet there offensively. They need to take that kind of play within the next 4 minutes here, or things are just going to continue to snowball.
Yeah, I mean, while they were much closer in gold, and we saw they were only down by about 3,000. That has all of a sudden jumped up to being about 7,000 gold deficit. So it's the larger that lead becomes, the more difficult it is for them to get an engage like that and get a fight like that they can actually win. As the Kraken is obviously available, you can see Snow Tsunami starting to work on that, and if they can take this one, then that could be the push for the game.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Let's see how Mouse are able to engage. If they choose to go for the steal, Taka is one of the best heroes to do so.
Yeah, Taka and Kestrel pretty solid at stealing, but instead, Netwell is going to be getting chunked down on the backsline. He was just too far forward. Now the root comes out onto Great Kali, stunned into the wall with Giftian Wall, and that's going to be the fight going heavily in favor of Snow Tsunami. Rona just doing work onto Great Kali in the backside. It is a kill onto Taka, and that's another ace for Snow Tsunami. 13-0. They're going to work on this Kraken while Sky just goes into the lane to start pushing.
Can these guys do any wrong right now? I mean, everything they're doing is working, and I hate to sound like, you know, we're just all in Snow's corner right now, but this is just the way the game's playing out. You watch right here, there's a little bit of a bait by Snow. They didn't ever commit onto this Kraken, but it made Mouse feel like they needed to make a play. Net gets engaged on, and yeah, Arden's pretty tanky, but right here, they're so far ahead that they just start chunking him down. Look, it's Fountain, Warren, ready to go. Neither are used before he goes down. It just spells disaster, and after that, it's easy cleanup on aisle 3 as Mr. Keiko and Great Kali just get chopped down.
Yeah, Fountain, Warhorn, and Gauntlet, none of those big 3 activations used by Netwell before he falls. It was a beautiful Githian wall to knock him into the side of Snow Tsunami and away from his teammates, and they're looking for it again. This one gets a stun onto that turret. He's able to use that Vanguard to get to his teammates, but it just doesn't matter. He is just deleted. Snow Tsunami are looking to close this one out. They want that Winter Finals rematch against Team Secret, and right now it is looking like they are going to get it. Right. mousesports are trying to do what they can to defend, but Kraken is still at over half health. The crystal is going to fall, and Snow Tsunami will be taking on Team Secret in the finals of the Spring Championships.
Let's see if they can ride that wave. Snow Tsunami, though, cool, calm, and collected. Look at me. He never, for 1 second, had any sign of emotion scared on his face. This guy there is just so confident moving forward. I'm really excited for these finals.
Yeah, I mean, we heard them in their interviews. They said they wanted to face Team Secret. That was what they were here for, and you can see, again, on their faces, no emotion after that victory. All they care about is this upcoming finals.
My goodness.